Hello, 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 everybody. If you're watching this replay, thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for signing up to learn a little bit more about the ComixLaunch MasterMind. I've created a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of things over the past decade or so. The ComixLaunch MasterMind is one of the things that I'm most proud of starting and creating and keeping going. And so I want to thank everyone that's tuning into this replay live, or this presentation live, and then also watching the replay. I'm going to get going in just a moment. Please let me know where you're watching us from if you can, and make sure that you can hear me and everything. If you just let me know that in the comments. I'm actually streaming this on a couple of different spots and on a special web page. So we're all over the place, but I see we've got a bunch of people on live now, and I'm just going to get going because I want to respect all of your time. And I know many of you are excited to hear what I've got to say about the ComixLaunch MasterMind, and I'm excited to talk about it. Okay, so I want to start by just saying welcome and thank you so much for watching this. That's Charlie Cheese. If you've been listening to the ComixLaunch podcast, you've heard his voice in the background chiming in his 2 cents. But I want to thank everybody for being here and for coming to learn a little bit more about masterminds. And so, you're in the right place here with this presentation. If you're a creator, that means writer, artist, publisher, and you're interested in growing your audience, your network, and your creative business this year. And so a quick check-in, love to hear in the comments, if you've been in a mastermind before, or if you're currently participating in a mastermind, let me know. And then also, if you, let me know where you're at, 1, 2, or 3. Yes, I'm in one right now. Yes, but I've been in a mastermind before, but I'm not in one right now. Or no, I haven't. Would love to hear what people's experience with masterminds have been. And I know I'm sure we'll probably have a couple of creators that are currently in the ComixLaunch Mastermind who will chime in here as well. But let us know. And if you're not sure if you've been in a mastermind, I guess that's number 4. So you can let me know that as well. But if as those come in, and I see we have some friendly faces here. George, what's up? Jack, Mindy, we've got some Kirk. Hey, Kirk just joined us inside of ComixLaunch Pro. Awesome, Kirk. Lot of creators, a lot of friendly faces in here. If I am a new face to you, or if you're unfamiliar with me and what I do, I'm Tyler James. I'm the publisher of Comics Tribe. I'm also the co-founder, I'm the founder of ComixLaunch Pro. I've had a lot of experience, particularly on the Kickstarter platform, but also using the Kickstarter platform to just elevate what I've been able to do as a comic book creator and publisher. And so this is the cross-section of projects that I've worked on over the couple of years. And, Kickstarter has been instrumental in getting our business going. And so, I do spend a lot of time talking about this. I host the ComixLaunch podcast, which is a show all about the mindset, strategies, and tactics for crowdfunding your projects. And then again, I run ComixLaunch Pro, which is a community of creators that are just looking to level up, and they focus a lot on audience building and Kickstarter. The community has been pretty amazing. Inside our community, we've had over 200 plus successful launches. Our creators are funding at about a 95% success rate, and that has maintained itself even during COVID season, which has been pretty incredible. And to date, creators inside of ComixLaunch Pro have raised over $1.125 million in funding for their projects. And so, one of the things that I've been sort of just treating as a mantra since I've been in this game is this mantra from Zig Ziglar, where he basically says, you can have everything in life you want if you're just willing to help enough other people get what they want. And that's really been at the core of what I've done with Comics Tribe and ComixLaunch. And so I'd just love to hear for those of us that are tuning in live here, and you can let me know on the replay as well. Leave a comment. But how's your year been so far? And I've asked this question. I asked this question before we enroll the ComixLaunch Mastermind every year. But man, like this year, I think has been pretty unbelievable. But I'd love to hear. No two people's experience has been actually absolutely the same. And so I'd love to hear, how would you rate your year? Scale of 1 to 10, how has it been going? And, I think a lot of us we probably came into 2020 with our own plans, and 2020 just kind of laughed at us. And this meme that went around, very evocative of that. But what I can say is personally, that was me at the beginning of the year. That was me now. Yes, I'm holding out until a vaccine before I get a haircut. But it's been a crazy year, but I've still managed to have some really big wins for us. We launched a Kickstarter campaign like the week after everything shut down, and to make this cool book. It was our most backed comics Kickstarter ever. And that happened during the height of the COVID crisis. I've also been, really focused on expanding the creators that we work with inside of ComixLaunch Pro. And we've had 55 awesome new creators who have joined ComixLaunch Pro so far this year. And their launches and creative endeavors have continued to thrive inside our program. And every month we're having, at least 6, if not a dozen, successful launches. And it's just fun to see that momentum build and the creators in there feed off each other. Some creators in the ComixLaunch, and this is like the greater ComixLaunch Pro community, some wins that creators have had is, Clay Adams. He celebrated his most backed, most funded first five-figure Kickstarter launch this year. Cartoonist Minnie Kim crossed her 2,000 email subscriber milestone and is getting a whopping 59% open rate on her emails. Dan Ekus quadrupled, I think, or maybe more, his first Kickstarter with his latest launch. Writer James Masha just cracked the code on Facebook ads and is getting new subscribers at for his fan email list at a super low cost, which is getting him psyched for his next launch. It's the 26th time. Yes, 26 Kickstarter launches. But that was the charm for creator Simon Burks, whose latest Kickstarter launch. It blew away all of his previous campaigns out of the water and earned him the support of more than 1,700 backers, which is a phenomenal amount of backers. And so I just share these wins because, it's easy to get caught up in all the drama, all of the tough stuff, the hard stuff. But creators that are moving forward with their creative projects, that are taking forward progress and taking it seriously, are still having wins. And it's important for us to acknowledge that and be inspired by that. All right. And, later this year, I'll be celebrating my 4th anniversary of leaving a day job that I loved. But I had a better vision and a bigger vision for what I wanted to do with my life and my career. And so I've been a full-time creator. This will be my 4th year. And I'm really grateful to be able to do what I do for a living, creating and launching Comics Tribe projects and helping other creators with their launches is basically what I do all day, every day, when I'm not raising this little dude who's growing up way, way too fast. And so, one of the things that I've done, and definitely not the least of the things that I've done over the past 3 years, is that I've created and run the ComixLaunch MasterMind, which is a group. And I've also, through the podcast and through pop-up masterminds like I did a couple of days ago, and through the podcast and advocacy, I think I've introduced dozens of creators, if not more, to the power of mastermind groups. And I love just doing this and adding this more. And so, inside the ComixLaunch MasterMind over the last year, they've celebrated wins big and small. Creator had his first 5-figure Kickstarter launch. One creator got the first amazing review for their comic series. Another built a fan page to 4,000 likes. Another invested in a digital inking course because that was a weakness he wanted to address. Another recruited an artist partner for a new series, or hit their writing goal for the quarter, or had a project covered in the New York Times, or registered a trademark for a new property they just created, or launched a $33,000 Kickstarter project, or collaborated with other creators that they met in the mastermind on an anthology project, or got a new webcomic up and running and negotiated a partnership with a game company, built a Facebook group and comic book anthology group to over 250 members. And so, we can go on and on, but these are just the wins that have been stacked up inside our group. Pushing a digital comic release, multiple pitches to anthology projects, set up an LLC, first Kickstarter launch raised 26K. Books now selling on Comixology, interviewed and hired an editor for their comic book projects, had your best launch ever, then topped it again with their next launch, wrote 3 scripts in 3 months, hired a director of sales and marketing to take sales and social media off his plate, launched and funded and fulfilled a Quickstarter project, and hired an illustrator for their first children's book project, and then successfully funded it on Kickstarter. And so it's just fun. One of the things that we do inside the ComixLaunch Mastermind, and sometimes it's tough, but every single session starts with a recent win from every single creator. We make every creator acknowledge it, and it's fun to look back and look back over how wins can stack up within the group and for each creator individually as time goes on. And that, I think, is just something that we need to pay more attention to, because it's very easy to get caught up in sort of compare and despair and focused on, the difference between where we are and where we want to be. But by acknowledging wins along the way and being around other people that are inspiring us to go after what we want to go after, I've just seen the power of that. All right. And so a key practice for the growth of myself over the years and the members of the ComixLaunch Mastermind has just been this concept of the importance of investing back into ourselves and our creative business. I do believe that you'll see the biggest return when you invest in 2 things: your skill set and your network. Those are the 2 areas where you're going to get the biggest bang of the biggest return on what you put in, and it's not even close. And so today, this is not going to be a terribly long session, but I will cover, for those of you that are still new to the concept, what is a mastermind, what can a mastermind do for your creative business. I'll talk a little bit about why I started the ComixLaunch Mastermind and why I'm continuing it. I'll go over how I run masterminds and what's included, how it works, what the commitment and the investment is to be a part of the ComixLaunch Mastermind this for July through December, how to apply, and then I'll take any questions. So speaking of questions, Tony said, can I invite others to watch? Certainly, Tony. Feel free. And yeah, we definitely want as many good creators to be aware that this even exists, because, this is one of those things that I saw that did not exist in our world, and I wanted to bring it to reality. So, but what is a mastermind, and what is it really? And the way I like to think about masterminds is, go ahead and honestly answer this question. Like right now, besides yourself, how many people are there on this planet who know exactly what it is that you're trying to create this week, this month, this year, and in the next 5 years, and in your lifetime, who want you to succeed and regularly think about what they can do to help you on your mission, who you trust can offer you good, knowledgeable advice and will tell it to you straight, even when it's not what you want to hear, but it might be what you need to hear. And then you also meet with these people regularly, consistently, on a consistent basis to talk about this stuff, and it's on your schedule and it's in your calendar because it's a priority in your life. How many people do you have in your world right now who fit that description? And, I'd say for most people, if you have 1, maybe 2 people that fit that description, you're lucky, and you're probably in the minority. And I can remember years and years and years where I was a hermit, solo act creator. But there's a reason that Comics Tribe is the name of my company. It's like things really started to take off when I decided that, I can do more when I really do, engage and build my network of other creators. All right. And so what is a mastermind? Well, imagine there was a small group of high performers and achievers, creators that you respect the hell out of and admire, and they had you on your mind constantly. Imagine this group was regularly thinking about how they could support you, include you, collaborate with you, connect you, and create with you. Would that make a difference in your creative business and your creative life? When I launched this ComixLaunch Mastermind, that was sort of the hypothesis that yes, it would. All right. And, some of the ways in which it can make a difference is accountability. There's a really awesome accountability writers group that just sprung up organically within the ComixLaunch Mastermind, because one of the things that we use the group for is to keep us holding the, keep us to the promises that we make ourselves, and help get us, when we get off track, you've got people that are checking in on you. Did you hit that word count goal? Did you send in that pitch? How's that, how are those pages coming? How's that Kickstarter launch progressing? Accountability is key. Another thing is support. There's during this whole COVID crisis, we saw a massive drop in projects from creators on Kickstarter. And the reason, I think, is because a lot of creators, were just like, this would be the worst possible time in the world to launch. But having the support of a community that is like, hey, maybe it actually is a good time to launch, and you can get support to go ahead and talk through what might be holding you back. Like, it's valuable. And Clay Adams had his most successful Kickstarter launch on a project that he really workshopped inside of the ComixLaunch MasterMind. And you can actually listen to a recent episode of the ComixLaunch podcast, where you can listen to some of the mastermind sessions that let Clay really work through all of his issues on the launch, which ended up becoming his most successful launch yet. Mastermind can also be sort of your own personal brain trust. It's a group of creators that you can tap into when you need feedback, when you need connection, when you need recommendations, and because you meet with these creators on a regular basis, you've seen them face to face, or at least virtually face to face. You can trust the advice that they give you. And so a mastermind is that. It's a small, focused group of like-minded creators who meet regularly to share resources and connections and sharpen each other's creative business strategies and support each other in mutually beneficial ways. It's a safe space for big, scary ideas, instant feedback, a pool of resources, collaborations and joint ventures, info and network sharing. It's shining a light on new possibilities and new projects. And it's also pushing others and being pushed to go for greatness and really go for it, and not play things small. And so, some of the comments from creators that have been in the ComixLaunch Mastermind, Albert Lim's been with us since the beginning. One thing he said is that if I ask a question, I know I'm going to get a quality answer that's going to improve me. And that's just because of the quality of the people in the group. The monthly masterminds keep me on track, keep the check-ins, keep me focused on doing the things I said I was going to do. It's important to know what a mastermind is not, though. A mastermind, it's not a how-to course. It's not a sage on a stage seminar. This will be longer in this info session. It'll be longer than I will, speak during the ComixLaunch Mastermind. Now I will definitely speak up, and I am an active participant, and we'll talk a little bit more about my role in it. But it's not me getting up and learning the Tyler James method, because what I've learned is, the collective genius in the group that we assemble together is, far, far, far more, knowledgeable about things than I would be by myself. Mastermind is also not a done for you service. It's the kind of thing where you will get out of it what you put into it. It's also not one-on-one coaching. It's sort of good in that way, in that, sometimes if a creator comes to me for advice and I tell them something to do something that they don't want to do or they disagree with, it's easy for them to just, put up walls. But when they're hearing the same feedback from, 4 or 5 people that they trust, it becomes harder to argue for your own position, and encourages you to maybe get outside your comfort zone a little bit. It's also not an overcrowded, nameless group, not one of those big lecture hall things where you just sit in the background and anonymously hide in the crowd. We expect every member to participate. And it's also, masterminds are usually not groups where anyone and everyone can get in. There usually are in masterminds some sort of criteria of vetting, whatnot, some sort of skin in the game, or criteria to make sure that you have people that are in the same ballpark of levels and stages of their careers and working on goals, so that creators on the low end don't feel like they're over their head, and creators on the high end don't feel like they aren't getting the value that they need, because they're providing all of the experience. And so that's not what we want either. All right. And so what can a mastermind do for you? It can help you achieve your business goals faster. It can provide structure and accountability. It can help you troubleshoot issues and find solutions. It can provide access to new resources and contacts and networks, help you uncover blind spots, tap into new ideas, and hear fresh perspectives. And it can provide community and connection. And I got to tell you, I was extremely grateful with all the social distancing that we've been doing and all of the extra, hide and seek and daddy daycare stuff that I've been doing. The ability to know that I had, several hours blocked out on my calendar each and every month to jam with some of the most inspiring creators that I know. And it's on my calendar. It's blocked off. It's a commitment that we've all made together. Like that definitely helped me keep my sanity. And I believe it helped some of the creators as well from our international group of creators that are in the ComixLaunch MasterMind. Because this was actually a global pandemic and everyone was affected. And so it was a good way to keep connected. And likewise, it can be a lot of fun. It's fun to work on other people's issues for a change, right? And to have people, and then also to get support on our own. So there's Clay again. He calls out the importance of the hot seats. He says the mastermind hot seats are incredibly valuable. I walk away from the sessions on a high from connecting with all of the great people with stuff that I can walk away and do. And so I'd love to hear just in the chat. You can let me know what are you trying to achieve with the second half of 2020? What best describes the most important thing that you're trying to achieve? Are you, one, shooting for a best personal crowdfunding launch, or two, are you looking to seriously increase the size of your fan base, or three, are you looking to break into new sales channels, or four, are you trying to finally complete a big creative project? Feel free to go throw some in there, or maybe you've got something else that's not even on that list that that's sort of like your number one thing that you're trying to, your number one boulder that you're trying to put up a hill. Let me know. I would always Echoverse made a comment about a while back about Simon Burks, who did 26 Kickstarters. I want to make sure he knows. I think just about all of those Kickstarters were successful, but his 26th one was far and away his most successful. So it didn't that would be stick-to-itiveness if you did 26, if you got funded on your 26th launch. All right, so cool. I'm seeing some ones, some fours, setting up for your best launch ever. Cool. And so over the years, inside the ComixLaunch MasterMind, we've had plenty of creators that have had their best launch ever while in our group. James Powell hit a new funding high for House of Fear right before getting that picked up by Dark Horse Publishing for the graphic novel, which was an awesome thing to celebrate. Melody Pena had her first successful Kickstarter launch, which was actually a six-figure launch. And if you're wondering what a $100,000 Kickstarter looks like, it may involve your husband going and getting a forklift like Melody's had to. But yeah, that was a great challenge, but that was her completing a passion project and launching it for something that she'd been working on for years. And so I started the ComixLaunch MasterMind because I realized that there were creators in my extended network who are on the cusp of a breakthrough year, but they don't need another course or more training or more videos. What they need is a little bit more connection and community and some contacts and some accountability to just continue to push themselves. And that's really what a mastermind can provide. And, I saw that one of my greatest values or things of value that I could do for the audience that I've been building over the past 10 plus years, 5 years for ComixLaunch and Comics Tribe a lot longer, it's my ability to connect and assemble the right group of creators. And so, it's not necessarily about everything that I know or I can do. And I do know that no one has a monopoly on good ideas, but a lot of times the magic will happen if you get the right people in the right room and they're all there for the right reasons. And so I'm continuing it. This will be the sixth time that I'm enrolling, and this will be we'll be wrapping up the third year in a row. I think about 60% of the creators that are currently in the ComixLaunch MasterMind have been in it since the very beginning. So we do have a very strong retention rate, which also means we only have a limited number of spots available for the new July. But I'm continuing it because it works. And I think now more than ever, when who knows when we'll be able to get together in person for conventions and things like that at scale. I think it's a important thing that we still stay connected with other creators. All right. Now, over the years, I've introduced some other creators to mastermind groups and got some feedback on their experience. And, for Scott Barnett, he said about his mastermind group, like the fact that we're getting together on a regular basis is keeping me honest, and it's definitely been very helpful. Henry Pope III said, actually having people to speak to about the ideas I have and the things I want to create and to bounce ideas off of is great. And I didn't have that before joining a mastermind. And so my number one job as a mastermind facilitator is to really just assemble the right group of high caliber, serious creators and facilitate an environment where they can all have a breakthrough year through mutual support and accountability. So that's what the ComixLaunch MasterMind is. This is the mastermind that I run. It's for comic creators and writers and publishers who are already on their creative journey. You're already creating things. You're already, launching things. Maybe you haven't done a Kickstarter yet, but you have, put your work out into the world and in fashion, and you're looking to do more of that. I sort of aspirationally, we're looking at creators that are looking to sort of take their business to the high 5 or 6-figure mark and beyond. If you're already, at the $1 million plus level, then you may need a higher level mastermind than the one that I can provide you. But if you're looking to build up to something, something bigger than where you're at now, that's where a lot of the creators are. We have a sort of a mix of full-time creators and creators that have very, are very happy with their day jobs, but they treat their comic side hustle or as a business as well, even if it's not or never intending to be the only thing that they do or the main thing that they do. So we have a mix of that in the group. But so what it is, it's a 6-month immersive experience. We ask you to commit to the group for 6 months. The group includes monthly roundtable coaching and accountability calls that I run and I facilitate directly. There is a private Facebook mastermind group where creators continue the discussion after the sessions are over, and also that's where all the sessions are archived after the fact. We also have access inside a portal to some high performance exercises and some monthly themes and resources around some of the struggles like time management or focus or networking, things like that are just general things that every creator tends to struggle with from time to time. And so there are access to some of these. There's also accountability check-ins. And so, if you declare that you're working on something and we're going to get people to follow up on you. And if you, and so you have that access to creators that sort of know what you're working on and then are also going to stay on you to make sure that you do what you say you're going to do. And it provides a connection to, really a small group of high performers and achievers in the comic creator space who constantly have you on their minds for mutual support and benefit. You'll also get, if you're not already a ComixLaunch Pro member, while you're in the ComixLaunch Mastermind, you do have access to the entire ComixLaunch Pro library of courses and training materials. So you'll have access to all of that for the length of the time that you're in the mastermind as well, because it doesn't make sense because most of the creators in the mastermind were, a good portion of them were in ComixLaunch Pro first. And so it just makes sense to have everyone have access to the same toolkit as well as the creators in the group. You'll also have access to, I think it says 6 here, but it's actually, we just added a few more. So I believe it's up to 10 ComixLaunch MasterMind masterclasses from industry pros. So what I do every term is I reach out to 2 or 3 industry experts and bring them in to teach or to share their expertise or to do an Ask Me Anything or a Q&A. And sort of share and fill in some gaps if creators in the group, if there's certain problems or challenges or things that the group wants to know about or struggles that they're dealing with, and no one in the group happens to have the expertise in that, well, then I just go out and get an outside expert and bring them in and have them present to us so that we can all learn from that outside expert. And so you'll have access to the whole archive of all of those that we've done so far, and you'll be able to join us for 3 new ComixLaunch MasterMind masterclasses with these guests that will happen during the next term between July and December. So you'll be able to attend those live and ask questions live, as well as get access to everything that we've got. And so, this is something that's been very well received. Christopher Michael was in the founding group. He said, if you're thinking about joining the next session, I can promise you this, it'll be well worth your time and money. In the last 6 months, not only learned more than my brain can currently handle, but I've also taken action towards my goals in a way that I simply wouldn't have if I wouldn't have plunged myself into doing this. And that was him launching his first successful Kickstarter for a project that he'd been working on for a while. So the ComixLaunch MasterMind is by application only, and I'm only accepting applications from creators who, one, can commit to making a mastermind group a priority in their lives for at least the next 6 months. They're already on their journey, and you have a vision for where you want to go. Again, this isn't for someone that hasn't ever created anything and is just getting started. We've got plenty of stuff for you, and I'm rooting for you, but this group will probably be a little bit higher level for you. And so, it could be an aspiration for you to get out there, get your stuff launched, get moving, and then jump in with us when you're ready. And also, this is for creators that are looking to level up their creative business and their peer network, and also creators that get genuinely excited about the prospect of contributing to the growth of other creators' businesses, along with getting help and support with their own. All right. And so the commitment is to commit to at least 6 months with us. That'll be from July through December 2020. We'll start in the second week of July and run through the end of the year. And the commitment is really basically simple. It's make the group and the people in it a priority in your life so that you can receive the benefits of the mastermind for the next 6 months. And so let's talk about the elephant in the room that always is the case. What's the investment? It sounds good, Tyler. What's the investment? What does it cost? And you may be wondering why I charge anything at all for this. Why not just run this? If you really want to help most creators, why not make these groups free to join? And the reason for that is pretty simple. It's the fact is, like, right now, there's 130 people, 140 people on the interest list for this. But there's only 18 people watching this live. It's very easy for people to say, yes, I'm interested in this. I've been in free mastermind groups before. I've been in masterminds that didn't require any applications or anything. So you could just show up, and they all died and they all died pretty quickly. Because it wasn't a commitment that people really felt like they had to do. It was sort of a nice to have, but when it just doesn't work. And so I found that when people put some skin in the game, when people invest, they actually show up, and when they show up, the magic actually happens. And so. And you've probably seen this with a lot of things. You put out free stuff, and if it's easy to get, it's also easy to get out of. And it's easy and it's easy out. Also, we value what we pay for. That's just the reality of it. You all probably have a stack of digital comics that you've downloaded, and they're sitting there on a digital read pile, right? But you're probably more likely to back something that the book that you went out and bought at the comic shop, right? When comic shops were open or something like that. We value what we pay for more. And it also just ensures that the people in the group are there to build their creative businesses, and they're not just hanging out. And I found that when creators come in and they put some skin in the game, they're here to get a return on that investment. And it makes it more likely that they actually do. The transformation is often in the transaction when you're like, okay, yep, my business, my dreams, my stuff is enough that I'm willing to invest in this. And you know what? I'm determined to get a return on it. And so that's why I do that. And so the good news is we don't need hundreds and hundreds of people to make the ComixLaunch Mastermind work. In fact, a small group of 5 to 7 serious committed creators is all that's really needed for a mastermind to thrive. And so the January 2020 session is $197 per month, or it's $997 paid in full. And if you are an active ComixLaunch Pro member, and I see that that question just came up. Yeah, if you're an active ComixLaunch Pro member, you save about $200 paid in about $200. So it's $149 per month, or $797 paid in full. All right. So that's the investment. And let's see. And so some additional perks for ComixLaunch Pro Mastermind members. If you're not already a member of ComixLaunch Pro, you'll have access for 6 months, or the length of time that you're in the Mastermind. Now, we've actually moved so that if ComixLaunch Pro, and so that includes the List Launch program, the Comics Launch course, the Beyond Kickstarter program, and Ad Launch, which are our 4 core programs that make up ComixLaunch Pro. And so, the value of that is pretty substantial. And you'll also get access to any new training programs or updates added to anything while you are a member. You'll also get instant access to 11 masterclasses. Here's some of the masterclasses we just wrapped up one with Camilla Jang, who basically shared some insider secrets, having run the comics category on Kickstarter for two years, and taking it, an increase from about 12 million a year in funding for comic projects to 16.9 million in the 2 years that she was there. And she really shared a ton about what's working and how projects get ranked, and all kinds of good stuff. We've had a creator, I know budgeting and management of money in the business side of things is a weak point. So I had an expert on budgeting and accounting for creatives come in and do a training. We had Ryan K. Lindsay come in and talk about his techniques and for pitches, and how he's been able to get pitches landed at just about every major publisher. And also had James Hake come in and talk about the rapid rise of Scout Comics and how they've really built that brand fast. And so you'll have access to all of these instant masterclasses as well. There's so much really good stuff just in that. So quick recap. 6 months of monthly roundtable coaching and accountability calls, a private Facebook mastermind group, monthly themes and high performance exercises, accountability check-ins, ComixLaunch Pro membership, access to a full library of everything we have, and then instant access to the masterclass library, and an invitation to attend new masterclasses with guest experts. And you also will lock in that price. The price for the mastermind has gone up every year. But your price will never rise for as long as you want to stay with us. And so it's about a $4,500 value, but you can get in $197 a month, 6-month commitment, or it's you'll save $197 with a single payment of $997. And again, it's $149 or $797 for active ComixLaunch Pro members. This is the year 3 pricing. Again, lowest we'll ever offer it for mastermind enrollment. Kevin Joseph, who was in our founding group, he said the skills that he's learned in the ComixLaunch Mastermind, the skills and practices he's been exposed to have already paid for themselves. And he believes they'll be the cornerstone of his career moving forward. And he recommends our community as an accessible investment in his business. And Kevin's just continued to thrive on Kickstarter and elsewhere. So if you're interested, if this sounds good to you, or something that you're at least somewhat interested in, your next steps are to first make sure you meet the requirements. The requirements again are first, you're already on your journey. You're able to make this group a priority for the next 6 months. You're excited about adding value for others as much as you are receiving it. Joining is an investment for you, but it's not one that's going to burden you financially. And then step 2 would be to fill out the ComixLaunch Mastermind application. Acceptance is by application only. They will be reviewed carefully. And then after you fill out the application, there is a $50, yes, I'm serious. It's a deposit. It's 100% refundable. But I do need a deposit before I'm going to review your application. And if you're on the fence about it, I encourage you to just fill out the application. I think I'm a pretty good question asker, and the application has some good questions that will, at the minimum, get you some clarity on where you've been, where you're going, where you're at right now, and what it would look like if, the next 6 months, you meet and exceed your goals. And so there's some really good questions in there. So whether or not you join the mastermind, I think you will get some value out of just filling out the application. And so the link to the application is, and if somebody could put it in the chat, that would be awesome where you're watching this, but comixlaunch.com/mm-apply. You'll hit that link. You'll get to just a simple Google form that looks like this. And we only have a limited number of spots available, and the earliest that we're going to open up enrollment again won't be until January 2020. So I would recommend getting your application in as soon as you can if you're interested. The application window will only be open for until a week from tonight. So midnight, a week from tonight, the applications will close. So applications are open now. We'll close them on June 18th. And then I will be reviewing applications and following up throughout as they come in. And I will notify all accepted creators on the 19th. And then after you're accepted, you'll actually have until the end of the month to make a final decision on whether or not you're in and you're going to enroll. But the enrollment deadline and to make either the payment plan, the first payment, or the pay in full for the full semester, for the full section, will be June 29th. And then the summer session will begin in the second week of July. All right. So again, if you fill out that application, there will be, make sure that you don't forget to hit the submit button. It's at the very end of your application, and you'll hit submit, and that will send the application in. And then after the application is submitted, there will be a link that is in your confirmation that takes you to the deposit, and you can just click that link, make your $50 refundable deposit. And again, no application will be reviewed or matched with a group without a deposit, but you still will have the opportunity to decide whether or not you're all the way in, even after you submit a deposit. But so if you're on the fence, you might as well just fill out the application so that you have the option. Again, applications will run between this week and Thursday, and the soonest that will open up again is actually January 2021. So that's it. I will take some questions if you have them and put them in the chat, and I'm going to look and see if there are more questions. But some FAQs. Some people ask, what time will the groups meet? And honestly, that's to be determined. Sometimes we've the mastermind has been a little bit bigger and we've done 3 groups. Sometimes it's been a little bit smaller and we've done 2 groups. Currently, we meet at 6 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. EDT on Wednesdays, on usually the second Wednesday of the month. But we move things around based on the number of creators and the number of spots and how big the group is actually be. So if there's more interest this time, I'm always open to adding additional times. And then another question is, where are members located? So this is not a physical group that gets together, although at conventions we have had sub quorums of the creators. But this is a group that's geographically located all over the world. We've had members from the US, UK, Australia, Canada, and we do encourage creators all over the world to apply if you're interested and you want to connect. How big are the mastermind groups? Generally, they usually somewhere between 6 and 10 members per group. And basically what we do is we divide each mastermind session so that we can have sort of the roundtable discussions and the hot seats into groups of no more than 10 members. But all of the groups have access to the same Facebook group and the same membership portal. And the sessions are recorded. So you'll attend one session. We ask everyone to attend one session each month some creators attend both, which is fine. But we try to get everyone have at least one hot seat once a month, but you'll have access to all of the sessions for the other creators, and a lot of times, just being able to, you'll see, oh, that's a really juicy issue, or I want to know about that, and so you'll get access to everybody's hot seat inside of the group. So let me see if we have more questions. So yeah, let's see. Mindy says, if we don't get accepted to the group, we get the deposit back? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, that is just so that I can make sure that I'm not wasting my time on bots, basically. and that the creators have actually, thought about it and are open to the idea of it, and to also make sure that they're real people. Cause sometimes we will get the occasional, is this actually a human being? So yeah, but if I don't have a group, if I don't have a group for you, if you're not accepted, or if you decide, you know what, actually I'm not ready for it at this time, you will get the deposit back. Mindy said, what about a COVID discount? Yeah, what I actually did was I did not raise the price this time. I kept it where it was, in part of that. But what I'll also say is, this is actually still a great opportunity. Like, there are projects that are absolutely thriving right now. And so while a lot of the world is shook, I'm strongly encouraging creators to move forward with their projects, because people are online and people are looking for something good to support. They're looking for something positive. They're looking for some way that they can actually, bend the scale of the universe a little bit closer and have some control over it. And that's actually doing quite well for creators that are making cool stuff and launching it. So there is a lot of opportunity here, even though we are in the midst of COVID. Thanks, George, for sharing the link as well. As a facilitator of one of the prior groups, it's well worth the money to establish a network that you can truly help on your journey. Yeah. So in the past, one of the things that I tried, and I can't see who that is. I'm guessing it's Joe. In the past, in addition to running my own mastermind groups, I actually helped match. I did like a matchmaker service to put together some other creators for groups that I wouldn't run, but I would sort of get off to a good start. And so Joe was a creator that led one of those groups, and it was a lot of fun. I don't offer that matchmaker service anymore, mostly because I did not get a ton of interest in it. Most people that applied wanted to be in the ComixLaunch MasterMind with me, and so it was just not worth the extra effort to do that. But I am a big fan of just pushing the mastermind concept. And so if you're inspired to go start your own, high five, go do it and tell me how it goes. I'm looking for creators that are saying, hell yes, I'm in, to themselves right now, that, hey, this is just what I need to take things up a notch. If that's you, comixlaunch.com/mm-apply. And again, the deadline will be June 18th for that. Gary said, I was considering getting my scripts turned into an animated series. Any advice? So yeah, we have creators that have in our groups that do have experience in the world of film and TV, and we've actually brought in some of our special guests that are doing that stuff. My area of expertise is on the publishing side, and I do know that without connections, it's a lot easier to go from script. Well, it's easier to go from script to something than to animated TV. And if that something is a comic or a graphic novel, that puts you more in the driver's seat than it would if you've just got a spec script. This was actually something that I wasn't entirely aware of, but Don Hanfield, who has been a member of the ComixLaunch MasterMind in the past, and he just came back and was talking about it. And what I didn't actually realize is that the deal is different in terms of ownership and control. If you between, you know, you've got a spec script versus you've got either a comic book or a novel or a novelization, like, you know, rights will revert back to you if they're not used, and there's all sorts of stuff. Whereas if you just basically got a writer spec script, and you sell it, you know, you have no chance of getting it back if it's shelved. So there's a lot of advantages to before you take stuff to you know, out to the Hollywood world, to actually, you know, create it in another form, like comics or graphic novels or, you know, books or novels. So yeah, Don talked about that far more eloquently and far more knowledgeably than I did. And that's actually one of the master classes that you'll have access to if you join. So let me see, any more questions that I missed? Cool. Well, you all have access to me. I'll be checking the feed and I'll be checking the comments, and you can shoot me an email, or you can just fill out the application and leave the questions, any questions that you have in one of the open response areas inside the ComixLaunch Mastermind. But I would love to, you know, hear what's on your mind. Again, deadline will be June 18th. And if you're interested, we'd love to have you. But whether you decide to join us inside the ComixLaunch Mastermind or not, I do appreciate you taking the time to learn about the concept. I hope you like learning about the concept and, you know, inspired to really go after it and build your network and launch stuff in the second half of 2020. I think it's going to be a really, really interesting year. It already has been. But I think if you look for the wins and if you look for the positive, there's a lot of it to find. And I wish you well at making it and finding it as well. So with that, I'm going to let you all go tonight. And thank you so much for watching. And I can't wait to see what you all launch next.